Hello, welcome to our weekly property series. And this week we're pretty excited to be in level 3, back in the market. And I've got to say, it has kicked off to a roaring start. We're pretty busy, especially because we're doing a lot of our viewings. Well, we're doing all of our viewings privately. So just getting up to play with the new practices and stuff. But for now, what I wanted to start talking about is one sector of the market that I'm very interested in, and that is the investment market. So one of the things that really surprised me over the last 5 weeks is we have qualified as many investors as we had first home buyers. And possibly it's because money is the cheapest it's ever been. And certainly the potential for an LVR reduction is meaning that the people that are in a great position to add to their portfolios are indicating to us that that just might be something that they would like to do. So this week we are joined by an expert in the property management field. That's Richard Horne. So we're going to be hearing from Richard today. Some of you may know him from his property renters. Many of you would have dealt with him as tenants. He's got a very successful business in Wellington, and he is going to bring us some insights from the market. So thanks, Richard, for being here.
Oh, no problem at all, Amanda. I'm quite flattered, actually. Thank you.
Good. Well, we can't wait to hear what you've got to say. So, Richard, what I'm hoping to hear from you today is, well, certainly because we're talking to so many investors, but what I'd love to know is, what kind of conversations are you having with your landlords about their portfolios at the moment?
Most of our landlords are pretty kind of keeping their heads down at the moment. They just want to get through what we're all going through at the moment. But I'm seeing, I think it's more opinion than intent, but people saying there's going to be this mass sell-off of rentals, and rents are going to go through the floor because the COVID-19 pandemic has changed everything. And I'm not convinced. If somebody who is either looking to buy rentals or rentals is getting nervous and antsy about what's happening in the market because of COVID-19, why would you sell? If you sell your property, you immediately stop any capital gain potential. You also lock in any losses if the market has turned, and I don't see that it has so far. Why would you lock in the losses? The other snag to look out for is with your LVR ratio. You might sell your rental, and then the bank actually holds back more of the money that you realize from it than you expected, and that can be a trap. And what are you going to do with the cash? You've got a suitcase full of cash.
In the share market at the moment, unless you're a savvy investor.
And if you're nervous about the rental market, the share market is way more volatile. So and really, banks don't lend you money to buy shares. Yeah, they lend you money to buy properties.
And certainly there's the banks have got a lot of cash, and for people that are still in jobs, they are indicating that they would love to be lending out that money. Although for some of those self-employed people we heard last week, they're going to be having to do some forecasting rather than retrospective earnings. So say one of your investors were successful in adding to their portfolio in the current market. What are you seeing? I mean, it's very hard to be like a future teller, but and I know that traditionally rents aren't quite as high over that, as in that busy summer period. So what do you see happening in the rental space across, the winter period coming up?
That's a big question with a very simple answer. It's really hard to tell. I've been doing this for 20 years, and every year is slightly different. And this year, the rhythm before the COVID-19 thing, the rhythm was different. January we expected to be busy. February turned out to be the busy month. March, it just went flat. And then COVID-19 hit us. We've just opened up our doors again. And what I suspect is going to happen is the supply is still tight. I think if rents recede to any degree, it will be a small degree. There's still people looking for places to live. There's still not enough places available for people to rent. So I don't think there'll be this huge rental collapse. I can't see it.
I guess a lot of that has to do with the kind of tenants that are in Wellington specifically, which is the market that we're talking about. So what is your pool of like tenants made up of? Is it predominantly professionals? Is there a good student base there? I can't imagine there's a lot of transient workers in Wellington.
No, Wellington is a wee bit different to the other main centres because it's government and a lot of corporate stuff. There are assumptions made that property managers deal with lots and lots of student flats, and that's not my experience. It may be my deliberate choice to avoid taking on rough student flats. But if I was giving advice to an investor, I would say get your property compliant with the inevitable healthy homes standards. Make the place attractive to tenants. Give it heating, nice carpet, nice paint. Make it a lovely place to rent, and you will get better rents. The days of having a scuddy old student flat with burning sofas on the front veranda are fast receding.
Are they? And I can't imagine it's very easy to attract tenants to that kind of property anymore anyway. So given that I know you've discussed over the past few weeks that you haven't been able to enter properties, if a tenant doesn't want you to visit their property, are they allowed to kind of restrict access at the moment?
Yes, they are, and there's been a big discussion about this. So as of yesterday, we still can't do inspections. We still can't do property inspections, but we can do viewings, and we're limited in doing that. The properties that we have available at the moment are all vacant, so that's fine. We have our processes in place for dealing with that because we've got to look after the safety of our team going into those properties. However, if a tenanted property became available, the first port of call is the tenant. Are they happy with somebody who's not in their bubble coming into their bubble? And our team member could have been in 3 or 4 other bubbles that morning before they get to theirs. So if they turn around and said, no, I'm uncomfortable with that, at the moment, we would have to respect that. It's their bubble and it's to do with health. It's not to do with any invasion of privacy or anything. This is a health issue. So we would respect tenants saying, I'm uncomfortable with that. We'd have to.
Given that we're not all familiar with everybody else's industries, are there any other changes that have been made over the last 4 weeks, or kind of, that you are having to operate under, that landlords would benefit from being informed of at the moment?
I actually think it's the protocols of dealing with tenants. If you're talking about a private landlord as opposed to a property manager, I mean, we have to know how the rules work and the constraints and restrictions we're operating under. And a lot of private landlords, that's unfair. Some private landlords may not know all the rules and regulations, but what I'm seeing being exacerbated is this the end of the good old DIY number 8 wire landlord who they've got the rentals. If they don't like the tenants, they just chuck the stuff out on the front doorstep. Can't do that anymore. And dealing with
you want to at the moment, would you?
Well, no, well, you're not allowed to. So there are all these rules that have come into place because of COVID-19 very quickly. So we can't actually evict tenants at the moment.
How long does that go for? How long is that for?
That is, I think, will be for another 60 days.
Oh, okay.
So that's 3 months. A landlord could have somebody not paying rent for the next 3 months. That's a big hit.
That's not ideal.
No.
Have you seen much of that?
I can only speak to my own list of properties, and it's been a discovery for us to see some of the really small we're not a big company, but some of the really small operators who may not be as diligent as us at picking really good tenants. We've had, I think we're at 1.3% arrears during the lockdown, and that hasn't changed. It's actually starting to improve now because people are getting back to work. So we've been fortunate and we've been good at what we do. But there's some companies in the lower socioeconomic areas that are really struggling because their tenants are struggling to just pay some rent.
Well, I think that there has been some incredible content for people looking to either use a property manager, get into the investment market, And if someone wanted to call you and discuss before they took that next step, like how would they get hold of you?
Well, we've got the website, so managemyproperty.co.nz is probably the best resource, because if you're looking for somebody like us, you want to check us out. And all the answers are on the website.
And on a massive amount of Google reviews, very positive.
Yeah, we've got a lot of Google reviews. We've always tried to keep people happy with our service, and the comments have come back. So yeah, we seem to be doing it right.
Yeah, I know you are. Hey, thank you so much for your time today, Richard. I'm just going to press the stop button, and we look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Thank you, Amanda. See you soon.